Well, it's the 24th day of July 2013. Good evening and welcome. This is KTN Prime. My name is James Smart.
Many thanks for joining us. I'm Linda Guto. Let's take a look at the top stories tonight.
I therefore order that the Mwea by-election shall proceed with the ballot papers as printed and in the manner proposed by IEBC. Orders accordingly.
Final settlement. Mutula Jr.'s name to be pasted on ballot paper.
The Remuneration Commission to indicate or to order the Teacher Service Commission not to pay the teachers for July salaries amounts to micromanaging the affairs of the Teacher Service Commission by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission.
Cost of a strike. Will teachers get their July pay?
Bees of death or were they? Confusion in Mombasa village.
And devolution wars. Jubilee takes on governor's boss.
Well, good evening. Now, the High Court has ordered the Mwea election to proceed as scheduled and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to affix Mutula Jr.'s name on the ballot paper as earlier anticipated.
Court had protested the exclusion of Junior's name and subsequent affixing of his name in the ballot papers, saying the exercise is prone to manipulation.
Well, despite agreeing that there is no legal provision for affixation of ballot papers, High Court Justice Richard Mwea said ordering a reprint would precipitate a constitutional crisis as the by-election deadline lapses on the 27th of July.
With barely 48 hours to go before Mwea residents go to their polls,
That provision has been made to cure
this was a highly anticipated ruling. The High Court granted the electoral agency the green light to affix Mutula Jr.'s name on the ballot paper, citing time constraints to reprint fresh ballot papers. This after CORD protested the exclusion of Mutula Jr.'s name. High Court Judge Justice Richard Mwea said a reprint would not only risk a constitutional crisis, but also infringe on wishes of Mwea voters for the Friday by-election.
I prefer to err in favor of allowing further opportunity for competitive election rather than for a constitutional hiatus. I therefore order that the Mwea by-election shall proceed with the ballot papers as printed and in the manner proposed by IEBC.
CORD opposed the superimposition, saying it's prone to manipulation. But the judge, retaining the by-election date at 26th July, stated that aggrieved parties from the by-election could return to court thereafter.
To the court, the best interests of the nation and of the people of Mwea, and noting that the parties and candidates will have agents at every polling station to check on ballot papers and on strict compliance with elections processes, I will order that the elections shall proceed.
The judge noted that the law did not permit the affixation process as per the election regulations, but IEBC stated that it took precautionary measures, leaving a column to insert Junior's features on the ballot paper.
There was an understanding in the court that in fact that name should be made available to the commission on that same day, the 19th of July 2013, for purposes of printing ballot papers. That came out quite clear.
The IEBC, my client, states it has done this. It has complied with this. And the name of Mutula Jr. will appear on the ballot.
Owing to this controversy, IEBC has deployed 100 officers to Mwea County for scrutiny of ballot papers. The officials are to counter-check all ballot papers to be distributed to the 914 polling stations to ensure they bear names of all contestants in the by-election. Wednesday marked the end of campaigns in Mwea ahead of the Friday mini-poll. Samugina, KTN, Nairobi.
The Kenya National Union of Teachers has warned that the Teachers Service Commission would be in contempt of court should it fail to pay teachers their July salaries as well as pay NAT Union July dues. NAT argues the Salaries and Remuneration Commission's directive to the teachers' employer not to pay teachers July salaries was unfair, uncalled for and illegal. KTN's Patrick Amimo reports.
It would appear the Kenya National Union of Teachers is not out of the woods yet if you are to go by the directive issued by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to the Teachers Service Commission not to pay teachers their July salaries. The move is only the latest shocker for the union, whose officials are still smarting from a strike described by some as pointless and having paid hefty fines over that boycott. Last week Friday, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission chairperson Sarah Serem wrote to the Teachers Service Commission instructing the teachers' employer not to pay July salaries for teachers who are still on strike after the industrial court ordered teachers to return to classrooms by July 1st. Serem's letter to TSC came a day after KNUT signed a return-to-work formula with TSC that ended the 23-day strike.
For the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to indicate or to order the Teachers Service Commission not to pay the teachers for July salaries amounts to micromanaging the affairs of the Teachers Service Commission by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, which is unfair, unfortunate, and uncalled for.
In the letter, the Salaries Commission wants TSC boasts that if he pays or approves the payment of any remuneration and benefits out of public funds, contrary to SRC instruction or advice, and more so in contravention to court orders to resume work, any payment made for the period during which teachers were on strike would be illegal and in contravention of Article 226, subsection 5 of the Constitution, which places responsibility of public funds on such officer. KNUT argues the Salaries Commission is in breach of the return-to-work formula it signed with the employer, which stated that no teacher shall be victimized on strike-related activity.
No victimizations include no deduction of salaries.
The Salaries Commission also wants TSC not to pay union dues for July. But KNUT wants both TSC and SRC will be in contempt of court. According to the union, when the Industrial Court on Monday fined its chairman and Secretary General 500,000 shillings each for contempt of court, the court directed TSC to deduct KNUT 5 million shillings fine from union deductions and remit the balance to KNUT.
We are supposed to pay the 5 million from the teachers' union dues. If they do not deduct, where will they get the 5 million from? So they will also be in contempt of court, and we shall take them to court, this time for contempt.
Now, the teachers have to wait for the month to end to know the fate of their salaries. Patrick Amimo, KTN.
The Big Q, in association with Nguvu Cement.
Well, that story brings us to a big question tonight, and we ask, do you agree with the proposal to withhold teachers' July salaries because of the recent strike?
Send us a yes or no answer, of course, with a brief comment to the number 8040. You can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at James Smart, at Linda Gutu. We will sample your comments during this live newscast.
Choose Nguvu for undoubted strength.
Right, police in Nairobi have seized 400 pieces of explosive devices in a bus that was headed to Mombasa. The explosives, which were recovered before the Chania bus took off, are said to have been loaded into the bus by a man who disguised the parcel as books. Central OCPD Patrick Oduma said the parcel originated from Tanzania, and the motive of transporting the parcel is yet to be known. A manhunt for the sender of the parcel is on, as police also try to contact the receiver of the parcel. Police are handling the case as a terrorism case.
Let's now move to a story that we have been following for you for the last couple of days, and we move to the coast. Residents of Bengala village in Kisii are reeling from the sudden death of one of their own following a bizarre incident involving bees. Eric Mwea died last evening, just hours after he attempted to drive away bees, which were bizarrely feeding on hot soup. And as KTN's Ferdinand Omondi reports, the locals believe the bees and Eric's death are connected by witchcraft.
Ilikuwa ni vilio, majonzi na kelele nyingi huku wakaji wa
We do apologize. Of course, that story has come to you in Kiswahili. Just give us a few minutes. We'll try and get you the English version of it. Let's move on. And the man arrested for allegedly engaging in acts of bestiality with the chicken in Nyeri County today appeared before resident magistrate John Aringo at the Nyeri Law Court. 40-year-old Paul Nderitu was accused of engaging in a unnatural act with a chicken that later died. The matter came to light when Nderitu's 10-year-old son reportedly found him in a compromising situation and raised the alarm. But when the charges were read out to him in court, Nderitu entered a plea of not guilty. The acting Nyeri OCPD, Joseph Mwea, had earlier indicated that tests would be carried out on the dead hen to ascertain the veracity of the claims. The test results are yet to be released. The matter will come up for mention on the 8th of August, while the hearing has been slotted for 20th of August. Meanwhile, police are investigating an incident in which 4 men allegedly committed unnatural acts with a donkey in Kamahuha in Maragua constituency. Worshippers emerging from a church allegedly found the dead donkey under a tree with its hind legs tied and used condoms next to it, suggesting that an unnatural act had occurred. 4 middle-aged men were allegedly spotted in the area earlier.
All right, let's revisit that Mombasa story. And residents of Bengala village in Kisii are reeling from the sudden death of one of their own following a bizarre incident involving bees. Eric Mwea died last evening, just hours after he attempted to drive away bees, which were bizarrely feeding on hot soup. And as KTN's Ferdinand Omondi reports, the locals believe the bees and Eric's death are connected by witchcraft.
As they escorted the body of their fallen brother to the Jonsham Hospital mortuary in Kisii. Only 2 days earlier, Eric Mwea was a bubbly young man loved by many. Now his life has been cut short by a quick succession of bizarre incidents. His death is blamed on a swarm of bees, and no, he did not die by stinging. It all started on Sunday when a swarm of bees suddenly appeared in the laid-back village of Bengala. Of all the places to settle, they chose a zone of heat where Mama Mariam Ali was preparing beef. It was Eric who volunteered to test the, quote, naturalness of the bees.
Mimi nikaenda nikachukua bike hapa, nikalipa pesa ya kwenda na kurejea hapa, nikaenda kanunua ndimu kule kwa shamba lingine kwa mlanguzi. Na nikasema kabla kama nyuki ni kweli wataenda, kama sio kweli basi wanyuki watabakia hapa.
The next day, things took a strange twist. Eric, the only man who openly challenged the woman, suddenly fell seriously ill.
Amefura sehemu za siri. Amefura mbaya, tumbo imefura, mwili mzima legeo.
Preachers were called and locals joined them in spirited prayers to exorcise the demons believed to be behind the sudden attack on his body. But the prayers bore no fruit. KTN has learned that an attempt was also made to cleanse the man traditionally with little success, as his friends claimed they had no money to hospitalize him. Eric died later in the evening within 12 hours of his mystery attack. Now the locals are convinced that the woman and her bees have something to do with it.
Yule mama cha kushangaza aliondoka pale akaenda akachukua udi. Akaja akachomea zile nyuki pale. Mahindi zetu tunavyo mahindi sisi na ile culture yetu. Tunajua udi inakuja na mambo ya ushirikina.
They also claim that Mariam and another village elder threatened Eric at the time he was seeking answers over the incident.
Kwa mimi nilikuwa nataka nijue mada aongee mama, yani kama wale nyuki alipotoka asubuhi alienda hapa kale nyuki wakaja
kumweleza namna ile mama alikasirika sana. akaanza kumtamshia maneno mabaya yule kijana, wewe bwana namna gani, sijui utaona, unajifanya wewe ndio kimbele mbele.
Back in Bengala, the bees have since disappeared from the site. Stunned locals are still huddled together, trying to digest the latest development. The woman in question is no longer here. Police took her away on Tuesday. KTN has since learned that it was not an arrest, rather a rescue from irate locals who see her as the villain and are now demanding justice for Eric.
Leo naongea, utani kesho sijui nitakuwa vipi. Kwa sababu juzi mwenzangu aliongea na leo tayari kwa mochari.
The curious case of bees which love hot soup and bitter lemon left the residents of Bengala reeling. But after the death of Eric, even more questions are now being raised by the residents. Was this pure coincidence or was black magic playing before their very eyes, and tragically so? Ferdinand Mondi, KTN, Bengala, Kisii, Mombasa.
You're watching KTN Prime, and we thank you for staying with us this far. There is a proposal to withhold teachers' July salaries because of the recent strike. And on our big question tonight, we ask you if you agree with that proposal.
Indeed, that is where we are on big question tonight, and we ask you to send us your brief comments with the number 8040. Linda and I will send for your views at the tail end of this live broadcast.
All right, we're taking a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's time for business. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. The Kenyan business community has been challenged to take advantage of the growing African market to expand their footprints. At a meeting with the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Amina Mohammed, the business community, through their umbrella body, the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, KEPSA, was assured of government commitment in concluding a number of bilateral agreements to facilitate trade. Currently, Africa boasts of 1 billion people's market, while trade between Kenya and its neighbors on the continent only stands at 12%.
The markets that are an opportunity, 140 million in East Africa, 1 billion in Africa and 7 billion globally. Where is Kenya placed in this? Do we have an opportunity there? That is what the ministry is telling us. We as Kenya have a great opportunity, and I think all of us sitting around these tables in this country, in this room, should think, change our thinking from becoming traders to becoming people who are generating wealth in Kenya by our activities.
I think we need to go into Ethiopia. It's also one of the markets that's close enough, so and big enough, right? With all the issues that you raised about it being landlocked. So we need to conclude that, and we need to conclude many others around the continent.
Rift Valley Railways has been given up to December this year to improve cargo transport by the Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure. This comes at a time when the firm has indicated it needs to raise 1.7 billion shillings from stakeholders to enhance its operations. Philip Keitani has more in that report.
In its over 7 years of operations, very little has been realized from the concession signed between Kenya, Uganda and the Rift Valley Railways. According to the Ministry of Transport, cargo delivery by railway between Mombasa and Nairobi has significantly fallen over the years. It is on this basis that RVR has now been put on a short leash by the ministry.
So even if RVR were to deliver on their promise of 5 million tons per annum, then you see we are still at 27. So it means the roads will be more congested.
The dismal performance of the firm was also the subject of scrutiny at a tripartite meeting by the three governments of Kenya, Uganda and Rwanda in Nairobi. This was on a basis of agreement reached by the three heads of state at a meeting in Kampala, Uganda in June 25th.
But our main emphasis will be on the main line from Mombasa to Kigali.
But even with its below-average performance, the Technical Committee on Standard Gauge Rail gave RVR another opportunity to prove its worth. The concession runs to the year 2031, but the construction of the standard gauge rail is expected to be completed by 2018. The Technical Committee also recommended that the three East African states jointly mobilize fundings for the construction of the Mombasa-Kigali railway line, which is estimated at $13.5 billion. $11.5 billion will be channeled to infrastructure, and the remaining $2 billion will go to rolling stocks. Philip Keitan, KTN Business Today.
Well, we wind up with the financial markets to let you know how the Kenyan shilling performed. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Sport is up next.
All right, welcome to your sports brief. Now, Kenya's 3,000-meter steeplechase medal prospects at the World Championships in Moscow, Russia, rests on the shoulders of the quartet of the 2011 Daegu bronze medalist Melka Chemos, Gladys Jerotich, Evelyn Kiang, and Lydia Chepkurui will be making her debut at the World.
Kenya only won a bronze medal in Daegu 2 years ago in the water and jump race. This is a race that Kenyan men have dominated over time, but the women's team is yet to perfect the art of making it an all-Kenyan affair. Melka Chemos, was a result of winning the Diamond League last year, will be preferred upon to strike gold in Moscow. She will have the company of Gladys Jerotich Kipkemoi, who will be returning to the world event for a second time after finishing 8th in Berlin, Germany in 2009. The All-Africa Games gold medalists Evelyn Kiang and debutant Lydia Chepkurui, who has the fastest time this season.
It helped me so much because when I was in trials, I was not that good. So when I go and run in 1 August still and at 9:15 time, I get to know, oh, I'm still back.
Lydia got the go-ahead early in the year to try out the 7-lap race after a long time as a steeplechaser, with the world #1 Melka Chemos as her mentor and training partner.
Since she was the one giving me introduction to the event. So yeah, it's a tough competition.
The quartet have been and will continue to plot how they will put daylight between them and the opposition in Moscow. They have realized that despite mastering the art of jumping the hurdle and the water hole, finishing power is also essential.
It's really helped me as a base setter because it was an introduction to this steeplechase finishing.
The steeplechase heats takes place on the afternoon of August the 10th. Victor Ogale, KTN Sports.
The Big Q, in association with Nguvu Cement.
All right, we're just about to be done here, but not before we give you that result of the big question and ask you tonight if you agree with the proposal to withhold teachers' July salaries because of the recent strike.
Let's take a look at how you've polled so far. There, right there on your screen, 80% say no, 20% of you say yes.
Nguvu for undoubted strength.
All right, that does it for us. But don't go too far, because on Perspective tonight, we take you all the way to South Africa to remember the Madiba dream, what indeed he fought for, and the many years of his public service.
Asha Mwelu is on that front. Thank you for watching KTN Prime. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Ogutu.
And I'm James Smart.